All right, it's your man Dollar Bill Score right here, chilling with WHPK DJ Collapsar. Introduce yourself to the people, let them know what you do or what you've done, and just let it roll.
Definitely. Y'all sitting here with me, M. General Sherman Collapsar. Most of y'all might know me as H.E. Quick. Various names, master scientist, back in the day, HPK with my man DJ Julian. Yeah.
Okay. All right, now tell us what turned you on to WHPK. How did you get involved? How did you even find out about them?
Well, back in like 86, 87, I came across HPK turning the dial, and I went to school with Sinbad the Slayer, who was down with Crew Rock Ski.
Okay.
And he would always, him and Crew Rock Steady would always be up at HPK because Crew Rock Steady went to Hyde Park also with me.
Okay.
And so then, I started listening to HPK and following the music, getting turned on to BDP, Ice-T, Schoolie D, Public Enemy, and I just fell in love with it.
Okay, all right. Now, what's your DJing background? Were you DJing before HPK, or how did that come about?
I would dabble, but I was never a good DJ. I was never good at coordinating turntables and beat matching, so I just I just collected equipment, and everybody else used my equipment.
Okay, all right. Tell me, like, one of your favorite WHPK moments as a DJ up there.
One of my favorite moments was when Ultramagnetic came to HPK.
All right, elaborate.
And because I've always been a big Ultramagnetic fan from back in when they first started dropping the singles, Ego Trippin', Mentally Mad.
Right, my favorite.
And they was doing a little promotional thing with they used to do the Black Expo, and so they one time they was with the Black Expo back in I want to say 92 when they dropped the Funk Your Head Up album. And so they came in, they came into the station, and it was just like, oh man, I'm meeting my idols, Sid G, Kool Keith, and I called Kool Keith in the hallway, and he had gave me his phone number. And, I would call him up, we'd be in New York, and I'd call him up, I'd be here in Chicago, and we'd just talk on the phone, and give me, like, the insights of, the records he wrote and everything like that. So that was, like, my ultimate moment.
Right.
And plus to get to, ram on stage with him once.
You still get to keep in touch with him from time to time?
Yeah, actually, we ran into Kool Keith earlier this year.
Okay. And here in the city?
Yeah, in the city they had a Winterfest up there up north.
Okay.
And he had came through, and he's coming off stage, and I'm like, yo, Keith, it's Eric, and like, yo, come on, let's go. And we wound up downstairs backstage, and he was asking about people from Chicago that he had met and stuff like that. We just talking.
That's good.
So it's definitely that's my memorable moment.
Right on.
It's just making that contact with Kool Keith.
Right on. Now, WHPK has a massive record collection in that room. Did you ever contribute to that? Did you ever bring your own records? And how did that work for you?
No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't bring none of my. Actually, when I did my show, I would always bring this one record. It was the Africa Bambaataa album.
Okay.
The Light. Okay. And I would play the intro for that because that was the name of my show, The Light. Mm-hmm. And I would play that, but usually JP Chill had the cabinet stocked already.
Okay.
And I just pulled records from there, and little stuff I had on tapes that Kool Keith would send me. A lot of the local groups would give me their stuff to play, so like East of the Rock.
Right, I remember them.
The Skunk Militia with Extreme.
Okay.
The Figure in there. The Stew Pot, Stowaways.
Okay.
Oh man, Euphonics. It was just.
I remember them.
Lots of groups would just give me their tapes and man, I'm forgetting people, but yeah.
now, what was your tenure? How long were you there at the station? Like the year from what year to what year?
It's like, in '88, we started hanging out down there answering the phones, me and Julian, along with Kingdom Rock and Prodigy. He go by the name Massive now. Okay. And this DJ EQ. We'd always kind of hang out with them down there answering the phones at HBK, starting about '88. And then I got my official show in September of '92.
Okay.
Yeah, but wait, 93, I believe there was. I officially got my own show. JP Chill had turned to me one day and like, I'd like to do a radio show. And I was like, hell yeah.
Right on, right on.
You know, and so he told me, one thing you got to do is like, you got to end all your beefs.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, that's no problem, because it wasn't really a serious thing. We were just poking fun at some of the other MCs and DJs.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Now, you know that WHPK kind of kicked off Chicago's hip hop culture. Before HPK, where were we listening to rap music? What were we doing? So my question to you is, did you understand early on, even before you even became a DJ, just listen to the station, did you understand WHPK's impact at that time, 85, 86, 87?
Oh yeah, definitely, because you wasn't, at the time you would get like 1 or 2 songs here on a BMX or KKC, you would hear a rap song here and there, but the impact that HBK had, when I started listening to it, I was like, wow, because first you had uncut music, and then you had, you know, just these DJ personalities didn't fit the normal mode of the hip-hop DJs you would expect. You know, and so it's like, wow, this is something, you know. So when I would go places, I would have these HBK tapes, and I would send them off like to friends, and even in New York, they was amazed by the show of HBK.
Really? You know, they had Red Alert and all of them out there.
Yeah, but they didn't have, you know, because even still, Red Alert was only playing a certain segment of music. Mr. Magic was only playing a certain segment of hip hop, but we was playing that uncut, off the deep in the album cuts.
Right.
You know.
Oh, so Marley Marl, Mr. Magic, Red Alert, they were on the mainstream FM stations. So whereas HPK had that college, no advertising format. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And then, you know, and we would play, like, say they'll play the single off the album. HBK would play that song that was next to last on the album. Right. You know, that one that you wouldn't normally hear.
Right.
So that impact it was huge, you know, and I would go to California and leave my tapes, and you know, and it was an impact because people wasn't hearing this uncut raw.
So we were kind of really ahead of the curve before either some of the other stations.
Yeah,
across
even
the country.
before New York, you know, HBK had a step up.
Okay.
You know, because even when New York artists came here, they were amazed by HBK. You know, and to even go back to the HBK library, if you don't mind, when RZA stepped into the HBK library, he was blown away.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, when was this?
This was right when they dropped that album, the first album, Into the 36 Chamber. Him and Method Man had came, and they was doing some promotion, and he stepped in there. He was just like, man, and so they was, you know, they was rhyming. You know, Chicago MCs was giving it to him. Flux from the East of the Rock, the original Steve Ski Matrix, my man Enough Rhyme Flow from Infra Black. They was going rhyme for rhyme, and Method Man, they was like, you know what, I'm done. You know, these Chicago niggas going for heads.
Most definitely.
You know, so that showed them that, you know, when they came to Chicago, that Chicago really took that hip hop to heart, and that's because of HBK.
Right.
And JB Chill had to chase RZA because RZA had a stack of records that he had got out the library. Yeah. Hey RZA, you remember that?
Wow.
And even when I did the interview with the Beatnuts, I could hardly get them to sit still because they wanted to go into the library of HBK and dig for beats.
Right.
So yeah, HBK had an influence on New York hip hop.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yes.
Big time. Now, you know what? This is a two-part question.
Okay.
What do you consider to be the golden era of hip hop, and what do you consider to be Chicago's own golden era of hip hop?
I say the golden era of hip hop would be that 87 to about 95.
Okay.
95, yeah.
Okay.
And Chicago comes like right on there when you had about 92, because that's when a lot of the parties started really jumping off. You had them Derek throwing those parties.
Yep.
You know, those flyers were dope.
Yes, they were.
You know, and you had the Row, and those guys started throwing parties. So that early 90s really kicked it off for Chicago hip hop.
Okay.
When you had groups coming out, you know, like I said before, East of the Rock, The Figure, Twister, you know, that Common, you know, all of them come from HPK.
Right. That was that vessel.
Yeah,
right.
You know, No ID.
Kanye.
Yep. Doug Infinite.
Yep.
You know, DJ Ram plays a big role in there with Ryan Fest.
Thingamajig, yep.
Yeah, you know, and all of this, that's that era right there, that 90s, the early 90s. In that era, that's when Chicago that's when it cemented itself.
Now, let's take it a little bit further. Now, we always known that there's always been like this silent beef between the South Side and the West Side.
Oh, yeah.
So now, early in the 90s, when the industry was making its way here, they were signing all those acts from the West Side.
Yeah.
The Brat, Do or Die, Twister, Crucial.
Right.
The list goes on. And how did that make you feel knowing that it was dope MCs on the South Side, but we only had maybe like Common at that time? What did you feel some kind of way about that, or how did it make you feel?
No, it didn't make me feel no kind of way, you know, because my thing was that it always, even those MCs had to come to the South Side to get that step of approval. Even though they got put on, they still had to come through HPK to get that approval. You know, so it was like, you know, y'all still the kids of the South Side. You know, it wasn't no beef, but it was like, you know, some people felt a certain way, like these West Side dudes, and you know, they don't know the real hip hop. They don't, you know, we're gonna school them. But you know, like even Twister was down with Chirac Nation, and stuff like that. So you know, a lot of those people had their base on the South Side. You know, even though they was on the West Side, they had to come down over here and get that recognition and get that stamp of approval. You know, you had to battle people on the South Side, and stuff like that. So you know, they made the dollars, but we made the culture.
I agree with that. I totally agree. Now, other radio stations like in the 90s started like trying to those GCIs that said they wouldn't play rap music. Now they're starting to play rap music. They were trying to cut into what I figured to be WHPK's market share. There was another station here trying to do 24-hour hip hop. So what was that like, knowing that WHPK was pioneering this, and these stations that was never paying attention to hip hop, now they're on the scene?
I don't know, because me and my guy DJ Julian, we used to mess with him. You know, one day we called Chrissy Henderson up and like, you know, why don't you play some Tim Dog? Why don't you play some Ultramagnetic? And she's like, I can't play that, you know. It's like, why not? So I get a playlist and I got to play on, like, who make your playlist? Because see, at HPK, there wasn't no playlist made.
Right.
Excuse me.
Right.
You know, there was no playlist made. And, you know, and so even one day I was sitting at this, they had a dinner for special ed. You know, he came in town and they had for radio personalities to come there. And I was sitting at the table, a couple other from CRX, a couple other radio stations, and Pink House was there. And so I'm sitting at the table and I'm like, I bet y'all could tell y'all who at this table taking money to play records. And he got upset.
Pink House did?
Pink House got upset. He got all upset. He was coming at me. He was holding him back. But, you know, that was just I guess it's the brashness of being with HPK was just like, we don't like y'all.
Right.
Not personally, but we don't like what y'all, you know, play.
Right.
You know, put some Showbiz and AG on.
Yeah,
You know, because even though these acts was from New York, it's still got love in Chicago because it was the feeling of, you know what I mean? Before I wouldn't really know where this person was from. It was just like, if it's dope, it's dope. If it's whack, it's whack. And we kind of equated commercial radio with whackness.
Right.
You know, because we wasn't getting what we wanted from commercial radio. And commercial radio didn't want to give us what we wanted.
Yep.
And so then when they did like AM 950, you know, they ventured playing some of these other artists, but they stayed to the singles. You know, they stayed to the safe songs. You know, when you turn on Chili Q show, you don't know what you might get. You might get a whole album.
Yep.
You know, the new album of Master Ace, he just put the album on and let the whole album play.
Right.
You know, you just had your tape ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember playing nights recording some of those shows. Okay, now let's talk about this new sound coming out of Chicago, drill music. Okay, a lot of people, some people messing with it, some people really get down with it, but there's a lot of people, especially here in the city, that feel like it's part of the issue that we have here with the violence. So I want to ask you, do you consider it a part of, is it continuing Chicago's hip hop culture because it's born from here, and do you consider it just to be hip hop music overall?
It's hip hop music, but with the bar set real low. You know, and I think it stems from a problem. Maybe this might be too political, but it stems from the problem of people not knowing how to read anymore. You know, when you talk to a lot of these guys, they don't know how to read. So it's, you know what I mean? Because before, you know, listening to like a Chuck D, you could tell that he's educated, know how to read. But you talk to some of these, and it probably stems from the school system because it's the easy way.
Right.
You know, I could repeat these words a couple of times and mumble my way through this and not, and you could get that in the classroom. Teacher asks a kid a question, and the teacher don't want to have time for it, and move on. So I think it comes down to education. You know, a lack of education. You know, even you know, when they be in front of the media, it's hard for them to articulate themselves in a manner where they could get their point across. Now, it's some talented people, but for me, you know, I love intelligent lyricists. You know, a Razzcast. You know, a Chino XL.
Right.
You know, dude is a Mensa, part of Mensa. You know, so it's like, for me to listen to somebody mumbling their way through a rhyme and somebody's like dropping knowledge, I'm gonna choose dropping knowledge every time.
Right.
You know, and maybe it's not for me, and it has nothing to do with age. It's just not for me.
Right. If any of this music was out at the time where, you know, HPK was really at his height, any of this stuff probably wouldn't even got any radio.
Man, I would. If people know this about me, I would put a record on, and if I didn't, within a few seconds, that record would be going off.
Right.
And something else is coming right on.
Right.
You know, so actually, there's been people on the station who've given me their tapes, and I put it on, and I was like, "Oh, this is whack," and I hit the button and put something else on.
I wanted to ask you that, like, what of your time up there, what were some of your favorite local artists you like to play? You know, every time they came through, they had something for you.
Oh, like every time it was like some of the people I named, like even like when East of the Rock broke up and became Black School. You know, Reggie Vader and Flux and EB and all of them guys, they would always give me tapes. You know, Infra Black would always come down there and give me tapes. Who else would always come? Man, The Figure, you know, like LTD from The Figure, he'll come down there and just freestyle. You know, a lot of these cats would just come down there and throw a record on and everything. And so then, like, even my man, DJ Harold Mack, he changed.
Wow, Harold Mack, that's my brother. We go back. DJ
Harold Mack, you know, he changed his name to DJ Big Chud, and he changed his other name, his real name to Yair. He gonna kill me.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Yair Ben Israel.
Okay.
So, me and him, if we could get into that a little bit.
Go ahead.
I met Big Chud, DJ Harold Mack, doing HPK. You know, he would come down. Actually, he would come down there and play some of his music. He had the Chubb Music All Stars at the time, and one of the guys was Vice Versa was on it.
Okay.
He changed his name to Vice just now. I think it's just Vice. And then my man K-Bar was on it, and Eclipse, his wife Cappuccino was rhyming with him.
Okay.
And you know, he'd come down and bring some music. Bring a Fifth Absolute, and we'd just kick it. And so he started doing commercials for me, you know, and it was dope because it was just organic, you know. And one day I was in this, because what I would do, I'd go in his basement, and I'd just be sitting there, and I like pull a record out and like, hey, sample this, and he'd sample it, and it just make me a dope ass commercial, just like. It was just like magic.
Right.
And I'd come down there next week and pull another record without looking and like look at the title. Hey, sample this. And you know, and it just was that dopeness. You know, and yeah. I'm sorry about this, but another thing was that the South Side of Chicago, the quality of the production of the music was excellent. It grew from, you know, people doing it on a 4-track and it sounded all muddy because they're trying to have it bass heavy, but the guys like DJ Harold Mack, Extreme, No ID, and Doug Infinite, and Twilight Tone.
Yeah, most definitely Twilight Tone.
The sound quality was like, and Reggie Vader from the Black School, the sound quality was New York sounding quality. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we could go back and listen to some of the Chicago hip hop that came out 88, 87, and you could listen to the sound quality, and then you could see the jump.
Yes.
The jump and sound
It went
quality.
straight into great, gritty, East Coast sound and production. Yeah. You're right.
And so, you know, those things were important to me when I played music. And it's like, you know, and I was trying to get the other local artists to understand that, is that, you know, just because you want to rhyme and make beats, it's still a art to this. It's still a science to this. It's still a passion. You know, and as time went on, the technology was enable people to, you know, sit in their bedrooms and make this stuff, but it was important to have that sound quality.
Yes.
You know, I forgot what was.
No, we was actually talking about going into Harold Mack. Harold Mack.
Oh, so then I was at his house one day, and he just turned to me and, like, you know, unplugged his mixing board and handed me his mixing board, like, this is for you.
Wow.
You know, and I took it home, like, this was something big, you know, that I formed these bonds with these people that were lasting, you know. And then when I needed a job, he gave me a referral card, and I'm working for it with him.
Right on.
So these bonds, you know, are lifetime bonds through HPK.
Right.
You know,
right.
And one of the reasons I I was talking to Doug Infinite, is like, we look at you as a product of HPK. No disrespect, it's like y'all are products of HPK.
Yes.
You know, and I think a lot of people tend to forget. They get big.
Yeah.
And they forget the role that HBK played in that. And then when Comment said, you know, back then HBK was the only station that would, you know, mess with rap, you know, that was huge. You know, now this has been played on a national, international sound stage. You know, so I'll poke my chest out a little bit, you know. Right. I would go to venues and, you know, and pick up my tickets at the will call, and people like, you from HBK? You know, and what's crazy, even just working, when I started working at Ford, I was just talking to people, and they was talking about hip hop music, and I was like, yeah, I used to DJ at WHPK and whatnot. And dude was like, yeah, dude is dope.
Off top, it's not your fault, huh?
I used to listen to him. And it was just like, damn. He's like, yeah, I used to listen to him. I used to have to take my coat hanger and twist it and get the station. It's like,
yeah.
And he telling everybody, like, yeah, this the dude right here. So that, after years, and people still remember that. That's, that's love.
That is. A lot of people I was mentioning that I was doing this interview with you, they were, oh, snap, you're going to see Collapsar. Yeah, so you got your name out there, man. Now, we know that growing up listening to WHPK, this new format, they playing all this rap music we had never heard before. WHPK introduced us to the hip hop battle.
Yeah.
Shannon, KRS One, Shannon LL, LL to Mo D. So then when they hit home, when Tretch came at Twister, and when Common and Q went in there, how'd that make you feel about it? Like, what were your thoughts on those battles?
That they was gonna have to step their game up. and that, because see, the thing about it is that my thing has always been that you gotta, if you're gonna step out there, you gotta be sharp. You know what I mean? Just because you from Chicago, you shouldn't get support automatically. You gotta. Now, if you get out there and battle and you drop a ABC Dr. Seuss rhyme, you ain't getting no support for that from me.
Yes.
Now, Common came at Q.
Yeah.
Twisting them, they went at Tretch. But you gotta still respect them cats too because they sort of were sharp.
Yeah.
But one thing is that I've noticed though, nobody stepped to Guru.
What did Gurus do? What did he say? Cause
Guru said in that song, like this shot, you got that style, rolling your tongue. It's been played out for a while. Cause Twister had the same beat that Guru had for I can't think of it off the top. And Guru, it's on the album would Take It Personal.
Hard to Earn?
No, it's what's the second?
Daily Operation.
Daily Operation. Okay. Guru says this, like this y'all, this y'all, this y'all, this y'all, this y'all. Man, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm looking that up.
And lots of absolutes, so y'all forgive me because I can't remember it. But Guru said something to Twister on that album, but nobody stepped to Guru and said, yo, and Guru used to come to Chicago all the time. They was down on 79th at Captain Hard Times, And every time I seen Premier, like, hey, Premier, what's in that bag? He was like, no, man, you can't see what's in this bag.
All right.
But nobody stepped to, Guru. But my thing is, I love battles. I even had a battle with Prodigy when we was doing HBK.
Really?
Yeah. We used to get into it with Ill State all the time.
Okay.
For us, it was just a friendly thing. But as I learned, they were a lot younger than us, and so they took it a little bit personal. But for me and Julian, it was just fun and games. This was hip hop. We'd be sitting at home, make our little commercials, and we'd diss Kingdom, diss Prodigy, and all them guys. And they'd take it personal, but it was like, this, for us, like hip hop, like what? Then they come with a bunch of dudes, and it'd just be me and Julian and a couple other people, but it was hip hop, so we loved the battle. Like Kara said, I live for the battle.
Yeah.
This is what we was listening to. We was listening to, Ice-T go back and forth with LL. We was listening to Kool Keith, dissing everybody.
Yeah.
Chino XL dissing everybody, So I would get into it, we'd go to little radio events and, they're like, where you from? HBK. Like, y'all whack. I'd be telling everybody, y'all whack, and,
Now let me ask you this: do you know anything about the D.A. Smart and the Regal situation?
Yeah,
and tell me what you know about that.
I didn't really get into that. It was I guess he felt slighted in the battle or something they was having, and that he felt that he should have won. But my thing is, I know this ain't correct, but it's hip hop. Right. It's life, some things don't go your way.
Yeah.
When I got the show at HBK, it was a lot of people heated at JP Chill. because they knew JP Chill longer than me. And they been going to HPK, down to HPK longer than me. And, you know, so it was just hip-hop.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Everything.
Right.
The Regal was whack anyway. But it was a place to perform.
Yeah, I think it's just some political stuff now.
Yeah, you know, but...
Yeah.
Hey, I got my Weapon X over there, so... I'm good.
We can get her on over here whenever she's ready. Right on. All right, now, Shyrock Nation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me personally, it's like when a lot of people talk about Chicago hip hop. When I talk about Chicago hip hop to other people, I always mention Shyrock Nation.
Okay.
We're like the shadow culture, so to say. So. What are your feelings on Shyrock Nation? Well, how do you feel about that movement?
Yeah, I was never a member of Shyrock Nation, but a lot of Shyrock Nation members gave me support.
Mm-hmm.
Like my man Point Blank, Hangman, and the crew that they rode with, they gave me a lot of support.
Right.
You know, I gave Shyrock a lot of support too. You know, but I always moved towards Zulu.
Okay.
You know, but you know. I thought Shyrock was dope, you know, because they was trying to do some of the same things that these other organizations was doing.
Right.
And it gave Chicago this much, little bit more to pump their chest out. Mm-hmm. You know, so Shyrock is needed still. Right. Because, you know, we got, like a lot you said before, a lot of these shorties are coming up and they don't really know the history or the foundation. And they thinking just like, you know, I'm on now and I'm the first one out of Chicago, you know? So we need to kind of get Shyrock to cement a foundation where, you know, it could be built upon, you know, for the future. So, you know, that it could be, you know, look back on and say, you know, okay, this is where this come from, and this person and the legacy.
Right. Now, were you ever into house music, and what are your feelings on Cool Rock Steady?
Oh yeah, I was into house music. What's funny is that one of the first songs we did, we kind of sampled what was that song? 10 City, I Give You Devotion.
Yeah, Devotion.
And we scratched that, and then JP Chill played it. Okay. And people was like, JP Chill, what you doing? That's a house song. But we made some little silly rhymes about these girls and something. But the thing about Cool Rock Steady, I knew Cool Rock Steady from the neighborhood. Okay. Because I grew up in over here on 66 and Woodline, so...
That was his area.
Yeah, so we was all up and down 63rd, and he was at Hyde Park, I was at Hyde Park, Sinbad the Slave was at Hyde Park. And he is always, you know, at Hyde Park, he was always, you know, walking with his chest out and everything, and he got respect, you know, and so then... He was tinkering with it, and so finally, you know, boom, he blew up, and he was doing the hip house tracks and stuff like that, and you know, and he actually was a big part of the early part of HPK.
I know.
You know, he would be down there all the time, you know, doing little things, making little mixes, rhyming, and just, you know, being part of the culture, you know, and they would always announce him throwing Zulu meetings and stuff like that over there. Off the lake at the point, you know. A couple of times we walked down there and checked them out. You know, but Cool Rock Steady, you know, he brought some light to the city. Right. And that, you know, you can't diminish that. Right.
Yeah. I think Kingdom told me that he actually kind of dissed HPK while on the air at HPK. Yeah. You know anything about that?
I was at home and I guess, you know, he was on the air, and I guess he got upset by something that happened down there. Mm-hmm. I'm not too sure what happened, but he went off. And I was friends with Sinbad, you know, but I never got into, you know, what happened. Okay. What did happen?
I don't know. Because I think I left the city maybe a little bit before that, a little bit after that. But when I got back, I got wind of that situation.
Okay. Right. Now, I don't know what actually happened. JP Chill probably, because JP Chill was always in a mix of something. Right. Because, you know, he had to deal with all these different attitudes and factions and stuff like that.
Now, besides yourself, out of all the DJs at the station, Chili Q, Icebox, True Flavor, JP Chill, who was your favorite of all the DJs there?
Greg G.
Okay.
Greg G, he came a little bit before True Flavor.
Okay.
He was a student down at the university, actually. And when I first found out about him, he was on a field marshal show, because the field marshal used to do a dance hall reggae show on Fridays. And so Greg G would be on there, and he'd be doing his singing and stuff on the different versions the field marshal had. And so he had got a show, and then we just started hanging out with Greg G. And he's a cool guy. He's from Africa. I forget where Africa he was from, but he was a cool guy, you know, and he let us, you know, play our commercials, and we had Greg G is a great man samples.
All right.
And then Chili Q. Chili Q was my favorite, because Chili Q didn't let nobody in.
Okay,
he wouldn't let nobody in.
He was hard on that house music too.
Yeah.
He was very hard on that. All right, couple more questions, we'll wrap it up. Right now, what's like the latest status of the station? I'm hearing that they may be doing some moving, or you know anything about that?
I haven't listened to HPK regularly in a while.
Okay.
You know, and I seen something in a Chicago Reader when they had shut the station down, and then about the bed bugs, and then they didn't want the local DJs to be in there, and if they wasn't students and stuff like that. You know, so once I had left, I kind of distanced myself in a sense, like slowly, you know. But at this point, I think, I don't know, for me, I thought, you know, radio had died. Okay, well, why'd you feel that way? Because, you know, people started getting their music in other forms now, you know, from the internet and podcast and whatnot, you know. So you think that may have, like they said in the 80s, video killed the radio star. Do you think the internet may kill the radio star now? Yeah, in a sense, yeah, because the internet now, you could just go and you could program your own radio station now. Yeah. You could get your favorites, and the internet will play already, the people you want to hear. You know, and I think just the way the radio is set up is just that, you know, if you're not a huge star, or, you know, these records, you know, they only play a certain amount of records anyway, so people get discouraged, and now they found another way I could get my music heard without having to squeeze in between these 8 songs. Right. I just go to the internet, and I could set up me a SoundCloud mix. I could set up me Mixcloud. I could do this. Like, there's so many different options now when you get your music that radio no longer holds sway. Right. All right, one last question. I've been asking everybody this. What does WHPK mean to you personally? For me, it represented rebellion. For me, it represented the freedom to be who you wanted to be, you know, and I had got a lot of freedom. You know, I was able to pick my co-hosts. I had, you know, DJ Harold Mack. I had Raina Rain. She helped me a lot, you know. She was an integral part, you know, in bringing a lot of these groups, you know. So just that free reign kind of, that was it. It was like, here's your show, go do your show, you know. I was a general on the battlefield, you know, so it was like, hey, what we gonna do this week? Right. Okay, we got this bottle of Absolute. Right on. Do you remember the original request line from back in the day? Yeah, oh man. How was it? Not the 702-8424. Which one? The one before that one. No, I don't remember that one. Nobody seems to remember that. No. I even asked Ken. He was like, no, I don't remember. No, I don't remember that. Do you, Stacy? Because I met her on the request line. Okay. You know. But you called in like, here's something or what?
Always, every week.
Right on.
Every week.
Right on.
Come on, Cole, you need to tell us.
Well, you know what? I want to ask you something because I want to know something right quick. I know I said wrap it up, but I do want to ask something about our local female scene. What's with that? What's with the local females in Chicago? What's happening with that right now? I don't know, because it's not really. You know, it's still like a male dominated thing. You know, and I think females are just like over it. You know, we got a few. You know, but I don't think it's really no new female MCs out of Chicago.
You know, it's just like right now. It's just like
just drill music.
Drill music, and you know, it ain't like it used to be.
Right.
And even back then, it was very few females partaking in it. They'd go to the parties and whatnot and listen to the music, but I had a lot of females call me at HPK. They wanted to hear Schoolie D.
Wow. Okay.
They wanted to hear Schoolie D, Mr. Big Dick.
Right.
They wanted to hear NWA.
Okay.
You know, She Swallowed It.
Right,
females would call up for these,
right.
Hey, let me get your number.
Right. See, WHPK, they wasn't biased. They played, like Vakil said, he said, by us being in pretty much the middle of the map, we was getting music from the East Coast and the West Coast, and HPK supported all of that. So we got a chance. We got a full range of everything. Yes. That was one of the things I really loved about that, too.
You could get, you know, stuff from California. You know, at one point, you know, you could hear a Luke record played on HPK.
I remember the first time I heard Dope Man, I was listening to the station with my mouth dropped like, what is this, right? You know, because I was used to East Coast hip hop. You know, they had their bit of profanity, but this NWA record just went totally to the left. But I loved it. I still loved it.
That was one of the things that women loved and people loved about it was that here it is now, you know, you're hearing NWA, you know, talking about Dope Man. You know, we in the hood, we already know somebody selling drugs, but somebody made a record about somebody selling drugs.
Right.
You know, somebody made a record about, you know, Public Enemy made a record about Farrakhan.
You know what? HPK, I was telling this to Ken. I was like, you know, at the time I was born, they had already killed off King, killed off X, the Black Panther Party was no more.
Right.
So they was just teaching us that generic black history stuff in school. I didn't feel fully black and proud until I heard Public Enemy on WHPK. And the way Chuck brought that information across, it just fired me up. You know what I'm saying? So you guys really played a role. You introduced us to the battle, introduced us to the African movement with the music, the samples, the breaks. You all introduced the break shows. I mean, HBK was just way ahead of its time, man.
And that was something that I think the youth is missing now. Is that, you know, you can't recreate that. But it came in at a very important time, you know, at that early development in Chicago hip-hop that it propelled, you know, the young ones who was listening to it to the adulthood where they was making the music that is accepted around the world now. You know, you have, you know, Kanye has the ability to make the music he made is because of the base that HBK set.
Right. Whether
people like the music he makes now or not, you know, he's still a product of the Southside, the Pride of the Southside, WHPK.
Right.
You know, Twilight Tone is doing parties all over the world now. Pride of the Southside, you know, because when I started working, I started alternating Saturdays with Twilight Tone. And he would do the Late Show. The show was the Late Show. So I would alternate with him and whatnot, and then he left because I guess they was getting not the desired response from the people. People wasn't picking up on what, I don't know totally, but it was like the people wasn't picking up on what he was trying to do.
Okay.
You know, but and then that's when Prodigy and EQ, I started alternating with them, Ill State, and that's when, you know, that's when the fun was. You know, we'd make little commercials and stuff, and it was just like, because we was battling on the station. Right. You know, it was just like, that was hip-hop for me. You know, and my girl Raina, she would always tell me, Eric, you need to stop this. You know, Eric, you need to change your direction. And so Raina tried to rein me in, but I was just... All right. I was General Sherman then.
All right. And before we wrap it up, any shout-outs or RIPs you wanna give out?
Yeah, definitely. I want to thank my wife over there, Mistress Daiquiri. You know. Like I said, my man DJ Hero Mac, now known as DJ Big Chud, his wife Cappuccino Eclipse, etc. B-Tuck, Eclipse. Who else, Stacy? DJ Julian. Oh man, Khalif, my man Khalif.
Okay.
GQ the Teacher. Anybody? Eastern Rock, Black School, Skunk Militia, The Figure, all them guys. You know, everybody who ever came in HPK and battled in that back library. You know, much peace and blessings to you.
Right on, right on.
And if I forgot your name, just blame it on the years and the absolute.
Right on, Collapsar. Thank you for your time, your information. Really appreciate you making this work for me, bro.
No doubt.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Right on, right on. All right, that's a wrap.